I do remember being invited. I do remember being disinvited.
Yes.
What I was going to speak about. But you know, the way I got invited tonight, I've spoken at Georgia Southern a dozen times, so it's not that unusual. I serve on several dissertation committees, so I'm here to for one defense and one proposal defense, and that's very typical professor's work. So I serve on a lot of dissertation committees, both at the University of Illinois Chicago and all over the country, and I've served maybe on a half a dozen or more here.
So were you given a reason for being disinvited in the spring?
Well, the reason that I heard, and I think I spoke to one of your reporters, but what typically happens, and I think what happened at Georgia Southern, is the administration concluded, or at least said publicly, that they didn't feel that they could host me here and have it be a safe event. And I argued then, and I have argued consistently, that that's disingenuous. And the reason it's disingenuous, or possibly more than that, it's dishonest, is because you could have President Obama here, or you could have President Bush here, or you could have Dick Cheney here, or you could have Rush Limbaugh here. There would be people who would object. There would be people who might picket. There would be people who might do a lot of silly things, but there's absolutely no doubt that you could protect them. The Georgia State Police can get me to the podium. I can take care of myself at the podium.
So we did have Condoleezza Rice here earlier this
I'm sure she had security. I'm sure that it was a public safety concern for the university, as it should be. But there's no doubt that that we can take care of that. It becomes a it becomes a way to suppress speech. And I remember in 1968, when William Kunstler was a controversial lawyer and a good friend of mine, what universities would do with Kunstler is they would say, you can bring him, but you have to post $1 million security bond. Now what's the net result of that? The net result of that is they can't bring him. So to say that I can, that the only reason I'm not invited is because of a public safety concern is nonsense. I didn't raise it. I'm not afraid. I live openly in my house in Chicago. I'm listed in the phone book. You can come and find me anytime. And it's a free society, so I find all of that a little bit, as I say, disingenuous.
So are you aware of the backlash from your disinvitation on campus?
I'm not aware of it. I know that some people were unhappy that I was disinvited, and I think they should have been. And the reason is, I should make this clear. I don't feel that I'm the aggrieved party when I'm disinvited. I listen to myself talk all the time. I hear myself every day, so it's no big deal for me. I'm not missing anything. But I think the students and the faculty who invited me, and incidentally, by inviting me, they were not endorsing me or anything I might say. They were simply saying, we would like this conversation to proceed. The people who are aggrieved in that situation are the students and the faculty who invited me. They have a right to talk to me. They should be able to talk to me, and not to agree with me, but to talk to me. And if they're not allowed to talk to me by the state officials or the administration, then that administration is doing a disservice to its students, and it's undermining a very core value about the role of the university in a free society.
So do you see your disinvitation as a threat to academic freedom, as some people called it?
It's not only a threat to academic freedom, it's an instance of destroying academic freedom. So, and incidentally, there's a lot of other ways that it can go down. For example, I was invited to speak, to give a named lecture, a very prestigious lecture, at Purdue University. I agreed to do it, and they got a lot of threats from the center of Indiana there, and they decided to put me in a classroom for 50 students. I was scheduled to be in an auditorium of 1,500. They had 1,500 requests to come to that talk. Again, not because people were supporting me, they wanted to come possibly to shout at me, I have no idea. But 1,500 people requested to come. They decided for security reasons that they put me in a classroom with 50 people. That makes zero sense. If Rush Limbaugh were coming, if Ann Coulter were coming, if George Bush were coming, there would be protests, there would be upheaval, there would be debate and discussion, but you would find a way to secure the venue so that they could come. The other thing, and I think this is really important for you, who is an aspiring journalist and a practicing journalist, is that if we get into the position where we say, whenever the barbarians gather at the gate with pitchforks, our message to you as students is, we will not have that conversation. Then we are absolutely not just threatening academic freedom, that is the end of academic freedom. Because academic freedom protects not the obvious, people who are saying the same old thing. It protects the possibility of saying something new and different and controversial and upending. As, incidentally, at the end of my talk, I was talking about the dogma of common sense and the ways in which, we upend that only when we challenge it. And that, I think, is very, very important.
So, I'll finish up really quickly. Do you think that your name being in the media around the election of Barack Obama and the campaign made university officials change their mind about some of the things that the media were talking about compared to all the other times you visited the university?
The only reason, and this is the only honest reason that I've been disinvited from universities, because I've been doing this for 25 years, and only in the last 2 years have I been disinvited. And the only possible explanation is that I got put in the eye of the media storm, not through anything I did, but simply by a guilt by association kind of thing, and a group of very, very energized right-wing ideologues saying that I was something that I'm not. So part of the problem with the whole opposition to Obama campaign is that they created these demons. I was one, Jeremiah Wright was one, Rashid Khalidi was one. I reject that. I'm not a demon, I'm not dangerous, I'm nothing to be afraid of. You're standing here talking to me, nothing's happening to you, correct? You're okay so far. And because you and I are having a conversation doesn't mean you agree with me. It doesn't mean that I agree with you. It doesn't mean we're responsible for one another's histories or one another's ideas or one another's politics or policies. But we can have a conversation. In fact, I think that's the essence of democracy, is you talk to strangers, you have a mind of your own, but you go forth and talk to strangers, and that's all to the good. So the dishonesty of the narrative about me was partly, I'm not a dangerous person that they were making me out to be, but secondly, there's no crime, there's no crime and there's no harm in Obama talking to lots of people, including people like me.
Yeah, in fact, you're being called to go.
Yeah, so. But in a democracy, not only should people talk to strangers, but they should also recognize that in a wild, diverse democracy like this, in a wild, diverse democracy like this, we do have people in this country who have a range of views. My views may seem extreme to some, but they're not extreme to most people. In fact, I'd say on the 10 issues I care most about, I'm in the mainstream. For example, I want peace in Iraq and Afghanistan now. I'm in the majority. I want full gay rights now. I'm in the majority. I want handguns out of the hands of kids. I'm in the majority. So the idea that I'm some kind of marginal crank is ridiculous.
All right.
Thank you, sir.